Welcome to the Wellbeing Table. I'm Nicole Henry, your host, the person who believes with everything in her that children have a story to tell, and every child deserves to be empowered mentally, emotionally, and unapologetically. Today it's just me, no guests, just an honest conversation about why I built this table, what I have seen in rooms that most people will never get to enter, and why mental health of our children and young people simply cannot wait any longer. It's time to pull up a chair. Before I get into it, for those who are new here, let me tell you a little bit about me and why I am the person sitting in this seat. I'm Nicole Henry. I am the host and I'm a therapist, speaker, wellbeing consultant, and the CEO of Therapy, a mental health consultancy operating across the UK and the UAE. For over 8 years, I have been working with children and young people in schools, sitting with students in therapeutic spaces, holding things that they couldn't say out loud, and walking alongside them through some of the hardest moments of their years. I have also sat on the other side in boardrooms, in senior leadership meetings, advising school leaders, sitting with governors as well, and working alongside charities and smaller companies to help build their company on the therapeutic side. Systems are great, but it all looks good, but can the children actually feel the impact? So, today, I want to start with a child, not a statistic, not a case study, a real child, a child that was in school, a child that needed someone to show up for them for a long time, but nobody did. That child was me. I was in school at the age of, I think it was between 8 and 10. I can't remember what year I was in. I'm going to guess to say I was in year 5. I can't remember what age that is, but I'm going to guess and say I was in year 5. And I remember when I was at school, it was just, I'm even just thinking about it and talking about it now is bringing back a lot of memories. I was in school playing with my friends in the playground, and I think I've shared this briefly before on another podcast, but I was with my friends playing, and I remember seeing 2 guys walking past my school, and the 2 guys had a similar bag to my dad. And I was like, my dad's got that bag. And, as kids, you're going to be showing off and saying, yeah, my dad's got that bag is so cool. And, and I saw them twice walking past the school. And I noticed something else they had. I can't remember what it was now. I think it was a tracksuit they were put on or something. And I said the same thing. I was like, my dad has something like that. And then let's fast forward it a little bit. On my way home, I was walking home from school because my school was literally behind my house. So I was walking home from school, and I remember at the top of the road I could see my dad, and I got excited. I was like, yeah, my dad's home. Like, this is great. Like, I'm just happy he's home early. It's great. So I remember rushing down and running down to see him, and just to give him a hug and say hi, just because I'm so excited to see my dad. He's outside the house. And then I remember him saying to me, you can't go inside. And I was like, what do you mean? And he said, something's happened. And I was like, I don't understand. What do you mean? And he said, I'm going to take you inside, but just take your time. And I was thinking, like, what is this kind of thing? It just didn't make sense to me. And normally, you just go home, right? So I remember walking in to the house, entered through the door, and as soon as we have like these double doors, as soon as I stepped across the double doors, you couldn't see the floor, and there was just stuff absolutely everywhere. We got burgled, and the house was upside down. We had budgies at the time, and I remember the budgies were going insane. Like, They were just erratic. They were making so much noise. It was an absolute mess. And I remember my dad took me upstairs because I think I needed a bathroom, I think. So he took me upstairs to go to the toilet. And I remember looking in my room and I couldn't see a thing. I could not see a thing. The floor was covered everywhere. Stuff was absolutely everywhere. And that moment really broke me. And I remember my dad was basically saying to me just to follow him around the house. He wasn't leaving me anywhere. And I remember we went outside to talk to our neighbors, and my dad was just asking the question of if anybody seen anybody or anybody heard anything. And one of the neighbors said they heard some noise, but they just thought it was works going on in the house. Because, sometimes people do work, so they just thought it was works going on. And it clicked to me. And I was like, hold on a minute. They came through the back door, and the back door leads to my school. And then I was like, wow, I have seen the people that burgled the house. And so I told my dad, I was like, Dad, I've seen the people. I've seen them walk past the school twice. And then he was like, you sure? And I was just like, I'm positive. I've seen the people. And I was like, they took your bag, because I could see the bag. And I said they were wearing your tracksuit. They were wearing his tracksuit. And I remember he checked, and a lot of his clothes had gone out of everybody. Most of my dad's clothes had gone because they were men, and they were big men. So his clothes was gone. And I'll never forget, the aftermath of it. It was, going to school again and being so much more vigilant about who's walking past the school. Are they going to go to my house again? And then also just always looking out to see if those kind of men would come back. Will they know that I was in the school? All sorts of things was going through my mind. And I remember on the same day, actually, I remember my dad took me back to school to just ask for CCTV evidence, see if they could pick it up on the cameras for the police. I don't believe they got it. I don't believe so. But it was traumatic. And I reflect back on it to see, and the school knew, but I didn't get the help. I didn't get no support. Nobody checked on me to see how I was doing, if I was okay. But I was really going through it. I was really going through it to the extent whereby I remember I used to sleep with scissors. I used to sleep with knives. I don't know what I was going to do with it. I don't know. I had no plan in terms of what I was going to do with it. But it was a form of protection. It changed completely the way I lived. I couldn't go home. I never wanted to go home. I would be roaming the streets until I knew someone was going to be home. And then my parents started asking me to call when you get home. I would delay as much as possible because I just didn't want to go home. I didn't want to go home, or if I came in the house with somebody, I couldn't go upstairs. I couldn't go to the garden. I couldn't live. And it's so sad to say it, but how old am I now? 30 something. It took me so long to even realize that I had this fear and that I was struggling with it. I just normalized it. It became a part of my daily routine. I would just avoid hanging out clothes in the garden. I would avoid getting something from upstairs if I needed to. I would avoid even going to the toilet if I needed to, because I just didn't want to move or change room if nobody had gone in there. Like, I needed somebody to enter a room before me. And it's only since now I'm moving to the UAE, I realized I live in peace now. And this could have been dealt with probably in school, if the school had helped me, or even if I, went to seek therapy. Later on I did, but I don't feel I completely let go, but until when I realized when I got here that I don't have like the cameras around me now. I don't have that hostility and that just nervousness because I learned to live with it to the point whereby it was just normal. It wasn't a thing of I thought about it. I don't know how to describe it, but it was just like a natural hesitation, let's just say. Do I blame the school? No. Would it have helped if the school would have checked on me or found some resources or something to help me? Yeah, it would have. And I think this is how sometimes children get missed because there's no system. There's no way of checking. Yes, some parents will say to the school, like, this has happened at home or within our family. Can you just monitor and check in? Some staff would do it. Not all staff would do it. And I think that's the hardest part because it's a luck of draw, right, for the child to know that are they going to really get support? Are they not? And as well, I'm quite resilient, right? I can just, play with my friends. It seems normal at school. So school probably would think she's fine, she's doing okay because I'm at school, I'm happy, I'm fine, I'm just doing what I'm doing. And I think that's something that can happen for many, many, many kids. They can just normalize things and make it seem comfortable because school becomes that safe haven. Schools become their second home. And I think sometimes we take it for granted as to how long we spend in school and how much time we spend there. It gets to the point that sometimes you might call a teacher mum or you might call a teacher dad because you're so comfortable with them. You've spent so much time with them that barrier of just being a teacher sometimes breaks and it just crosses that line of being a teacher to being somebody that you're really close to, someone that you can trust, someone that you can, that you value ultimately. And I feel like schools now just need support. Schools now need that support because they're dealing with a lot. Schools are dealing with a lot in terms of they've got to educate children. They've got to teach children things because sometimes as well, no fault of the school, but some parents don't bring their kids into school knowing certain things. So schools may not just have to teach them academically, but they might have to teach them like life skills or ways to navigate, ultimately. Some children come in and they're still in pull-ups. I'm going quite young, and they have to be told, like, you have to get your child out of pull-ups in order to come to school. So it's a thing of that schools are taking on a lot. They are managing a lot of things. They have safeguarding pressures, and sometimes, schools get safeguarding concerns. But the process in which they have to safeguard them and protect the child, sometimes it doesn't always go through and be solved in the way that they want it to be solved. Sometimes they actually do try. And I think sometimes schools are looked upon in a negative way to say that they're not solving problems, they're not safeguarding the children correctly. That's not necessarily true. Sometimes it's stopped at a certain point whereby they can't go beyond. They don't have the capacity or the ability to extend it or take it even further. They can monitor things and just keep tracking things so that they can present a case, which is amazing. But not all the time they can take it further. And I think sometimes families want schools to just handle everything. And it's really hard for them. But at the same time, I would encourage parents to seek support externally as well. Seek support within the community, whether it be your GP, whether it be a hospital, whether it be community services, within your local community. They must be able to support you in some kind of way or give you direction so that it takes it off the school. And I'm not saying it to help the school out. I'm saying it to help your child out, to help you out, to give you resources so that it's not just left. It's not just remaining idle. It's just not something that is not thought about, to be honest. What I would like to highlight as well is that there's a big gap between well-being on paper and well-being actually being implemented. Well-being on paper can look like, okay, we've seen or we've supported X number of children, and this was the outcome and follow up. Quick. But was that intervention actually effective? Was that support given to the child what was needed? Was it actually in practice? Was it even delivered? That's a big question. Was it even delivered? Was the support actually given? Like, schools need to change, and I think even companies need to change and analyze what's going on. And I feel like staff don't get enough support. Certain things that I believe should be in place, for example, SLT and pastoralty, they should all have supervision. All of them. I think it's compulsory that they should have supervision. And the reason why I say that is because they deal with so many cases. Some cases are lighter than the other, but they deal with so many cases, but they have no process to outlet. They have no process to assess whether they've handled it correctly or what they could do to tweak certain things or follow up. Or sometimes there's missing gaps that somebody may not see, but on the outside, somebody can see it on a different lens. So I really would encourage schools to make sure that there is supervision in place for SLT members, especially DSLs, pastoral people, early welfare officers, the ones that are actually dealing with the welfare of the children. They need this in place. And maybe for the rest of the school staff, maybe group sessions of supervision, because sometimes they do pick up things and they are exposed to some cases. So it could be divided maybe termly to just say a group session for all staff. But I think staff in terms of SLT, they need it. There's so many members of staff that I've seen. They are burnt out. They are tired. They can't manage all the cases because it's just too much. Things are coming in thick and fast. And when I say thick and fast, I mean thick and fast. They are coming in thick and fast. It's hard to manage. In the UK, we have CAMS. CAMS is inundated with cases. And you get to know the system to know what cases will get supported and what cases won't. Unfortunately, that is the case. But in the interim, staff have still got to handle these cases and resolve these situations regardless of the referral. So I really feel that they need that support in order to just take that load off, give them that ability to ease their mind at least by the end of the term. They need, but I really think they need it monthly. They honestly do need it monthly. For the 12 months of the year, the 39 weeks that they work for, they need supervision monthly. I think that's compulsory for all schools to do. That's just a piece of my advice. I created the Wellbeing Table. The Wellbeing Table was created for number one, impact. I want to spread the awareness about children and young people's mental health. I want the trajectory to be changed. So I'm calling upon teachers, SLT leaders. I'm calling on people in the community that are doing amazing work with children and young people. And I'm going to be calling on parents because I want the conversation to change. I want the thoughts of how we view children and young people to change so that support is available, support is accessible, but also looking at how we can, unfortunately, but fortunately, invest in their mental health. We need to do that. I know a lot of time people say budgets, whether it be your parent, whether it be a school, whether it be a community team, they will say that the budgets are tight, but investing in that child in the early stages of mental health signs is something that you just can't take away. Like, it's something that they've invested in for the rest of their life that's going to change the trajectory of how they view life, how they move accordingly year after year, day after day. So I created it ultimately to share insight, to share good practice, and to give insight to the community and to the world of that mental health needs to change because it's affecting so many people. I've come here to the UAE and it's not the same as the UK, but it's the same. It's still there. Mental health is still there. It's still rife. It's still being spoken about. It's still being hidden. People need to understand exactly what it is. They need to learn to know that it's not a taboo. It's not something to feel ashamed about. It's not something to feel embarrassed about, if your child needs support, or if a friend needs support, or even, let's take it back a bit, if an adult needs support, it's okay. It's okay. Support is available. And I feel like language needs to change. And I feel like as well, many people are trying to do some amazing, wonderful things to help mental health, but the trajectory is not shifting enough. It's not shifting. So this is why I created the Wellbeing Table, to bring on amazing guests, whether it be from the UAE and the UK, so that we can have conversations, so that people can share, people can grow, people can actually implement changes, people can take on new things, new ideas, and have conversations. Maybe may not be with one of the guests, but it could be with a friend, and say, you know what, I actually listened to this the other day and it really resonated with me. And now maybe thinking about changing their own stance, whether it be to support their own child, or in the school that they work in, they might want to change something, or in a community youth group or company that they work in. It could be corporate, it could go into that. People are looking at how staff are being treated and being managed, so that their well-being is looked after. I really feel that the Wellbeing Table is going to have an impact. And because children are attached to so many adults, so many people from different backgrounds all over the world. And I just want the Wellbeing Table to be that space, where we can talk on their behalf. We can really open up. We're having conversations about the effects of social media, the effects of gangs, the effects of violence, the effects of parenting habits, different kind of things, the different effects of schools, whether it be a requires improvement school, an outstanding school, what the difference are, what exposure can they get, because ultimately everybody wants their children to be well, healthy, safe, sound. Everybody does. So why can't we work together to push that trajectory, push it so that we can make a difference? And I really believe that there's so many people that I have connected with over the years, whether it be old school teachers, whether it be teachers that I've worked with in the recent years, wherever it is, there's so many people that have got so much nuggets and so much things to share about how we can change the trajectory of children's mental health. There's so much we can give. This is the place. This is the place. And I really want everybody to feel comfortable, but also open to hear, open to receive, because it's not about just criticizing and saying this one's not doing this and this one's not doing that, but also be accountable. Let's take ownership. Let's take a seat and actually digest what's going on, and let's think about how we can move together, how we can change and create impact. That's the goal of the Wellbeing Table. I am so excited to share that we have so much amazing guests coming up for our first season of the Wellbeing Table. We have people coming on talking about leadership, the impact of belonging. We have governance people. We have people that are doing so much things in the community. We have motivational speakers as well. This is going to be incredible. I would encourage you to like, share, subscribe, so that you will be reminded about when to pull up a chair every week. So just remember, every child has a story. Every child has a voice. Every child deserves to be empowered mentally, emotionally, and unapologetically. That is why the Wellbeing Table exists. And this is why I do the work that I do. And I'm glad you're here. I'm your host, Nicole Henry. This is the Wellbeing Table. Pull up a chair, and I'll see you next week.